Check.
Wait, what podcast number is this, guys?
Eight.
Oh, podcast number 8. Welcome, Maverick Ford.
Hello,
How are
hello.
you?
Good. I'm good. Thanks.
Good.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So you want to stay kind of close to this thing. You don't have to bump your lips on it all the time, but
Okay.
they're right there.
Got it.
Perfect.
We want to
Got
hear
it.
you.
Hell yeah. Cool. So, hell yeah, Maverick. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
I'm excited.
Yeah, man. So, today, one of the main reasons that I wanted to bring Maverick on is because, we talk about training a lot. We talk about the importance of even picking just one kind of discipline. Even like, and I've said before, even if it's rock climbing, man, whatever. Maverick here's got, I don't even know how many types of things that this guy gets himself into, different disciplines that he studies. Some I've seen some videos that he's really good at some things, and then there's something he's trying all kinds of other things. This guy is every day he's either in the gym training, box. Like what is it you do? What is the martial arts you got?
Well, it's literally Thai boxing.
Okay.
But I did that in Hawaii, but when I was in Vegas, pretty much boxing.
Yeah.
Isn't Thai boxing a lot more scary, I guess? Or
You
what's the difference? I've heard.
Well, difference is like pretty much elbows, knees, kicks, right? Versus like kickboxing is just I think kickboxing is just like punches and kicks.
Okay.
Okay.
A
So
little
like-
bit more savage.
So you got more. You clinch and like dirty box and like.
Well, I'm gonna
Is
be
that
honest.
kinda-
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I got into Thai boxing in Hawaii just because, we used to get picked on, right?
Right.
I think a bunch of people that used to fight back in the day,
Right.
they kind of fall back into that
Yeah.
self defense.
Right,
That's how
right.
we got started.
Cool, man. That's awesome. So yeah, I've seen you on there, man. I've seen you in the ring on your videos and stuff, man.
Yeah.
You're kicking ass, bro.
I
You're
love
good
it.
at that shit.
It's really cool
But
to
then
watch.
so you're either doing something like that, and I've seen you the what do you call it with the sticks?
Yeah, Screama, like Filipino fighting
Yeah,
sticks. Yeah,
that shit's cool as shit.
Yeah, thanks.
Working on that, you're like studying that shit, man. When I watch you do that, so like between that, being on the range all the time, all the different training you do on the range, it's not just like you going to the range and just shooting, man. You're doing drills,
yeah.
and you're doing all kinds of different things. You got trainers, you got people that come out and work with you, and then at home, you told me you had you sent me that video, man. It was so fucking cool. So you got that like laser trainer for your AR, and you got the pistol ones too. So this guy's got Maverick here's got like the little dots all around his house. So him and his roommate can clear the house. And
How
and
badass is
with the laser
that?
trainers, they can see where their hits are at.
That's so
And
cool.
yeah, so they're guy's constantly doing something, man. This guy's constantly training. And with that, man, like to me, I'm like, you see how many different things this guy's doing. He's always training something. He's always doing something. There's really no reason that there's no reason. I don't care what it is. You got a family and a job. This guy still works full time.
I actually work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, all the time.
About
Yeah.
7 days. That's funny.
Just got bumped up too, working so hard.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just got a promotion because he worked so hard. So, what I'm getting at is, there's no reason that you can't have one. Pick one, man, and focus on something. Like pick some kind of discipline, man. And if you just bought a gun this year, make that your discipline that you're working on this year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, what fuels you to have this motivation to get up every day and do all these different things? Because you are so active.
No, honestly, I don't think it's because everybody got time. I think a lot of people lack on is priority.
Absolutely.
Having to prioritize your time. We all have 24 hours in a day, right?
Right.
Yeah, but what matters most to you to do in that 24
What
hours?
matters, to be honest with you, like if you have aggression, like pick something.
Yeah,
pick
man.
something.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think this is the best time where a lot of times, especially in Las Vegas, people cling into like vices, right? Drugs, alcohol, whatever.
Absolutely.
But
Or they run from that and spend all day looking at the TV.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So for myself, might as well do something right. You know what I mean? Right now, like what I said, there's no excuses. 7 days a week. But if you want to, if you're at a point in your life that you want to win, or you want to just win at something, find something productive.
Yeah.
right? Some make time. So to me, it's back to basic. Like, why are you doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not the best in drills and stuff like that. Actually, the roommate that you talked about, Levy, that's actually my little brother.
Yeah.
And
Really?
he's way more like knowledgeable
Really?
than me, and he's like 21 years old.
Oh,
and
shit.
this little guy would literally put on his belt and just do drills.
That's awesome.
Just stay
Yeah.
on.
That's
you know?
awesome.
I love
21-year-old, and a lot of times, like, I learn from him. You know what I mean? Like, guys he follow, like, I kind of introduced him to Toolam, which is Ronin.
Yeah.
Right, Ronin Tactical. But, he's pretty much like the Asian version of Lucas.
Bodkin, yeah.
Bodkin.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
crazy.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
cool,
nuts.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because you got him started, right? Is that right? You kind of
Yeah,
got him
he almost
started.
shot me.
Oh, explain.
Story
So-
time.
So this is probably like 10 years ago, and I took him to the desert by M Resort, and we're shooting, and I told him, hey, make sure you clear the gun and stuff like that. So, and if you're going to make sure it's clear, you point it that way.
Right.
So he turned my way and, pulled the trigger. And he was afraid. Like, from that time, like, he never picked up a gun.
Right. It set him back for
Yeah,
sure.
because I actually yelled at him. I was like, what the F? you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? But I think this pandemic, which is before pandemic, that's when he started getting to, guns.
Yeah.
I think, having a gun, what's scary now is like March is one of the highest in sales, right, for weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these guys are not even training. So that's,
Yep.
to me, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's exactly
and that's
why
the
we
biggest
started
thing, man. And,
this.
yeah. And that's exactly what Brighton just said, man. Like, we'd been talking about doing this and putting this together. The three of us have been talking about doing this for over 2 years. And then, I think I don't know if I've told this story before on the podcast. If I have, I'm sorry, but we were kind of comfortable doing what we were doing. We were making okay money, not working our asses off. We'd had jobs where we worked our asses off, and for a little bit there we were doing good. So we were going on trips, and we were this is the new lifestyle for us, man, and we were loving it. And then it just stopped.
Yep.
And so when it
Hard
did.
left.
Yeah, it stopped. And so we were like, okay, we didn't think it was going to be that long, man. Nobody thought this was going to last this long.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we're okay. We'll kind of slow down a little bit. We won't do this. So, we're still sticking with our lifestyle, especially with all the extra stuff coming in, with the unemployment stuff. And it was dragging on. It was dragging on. And then we ended up kind of started messing with our savings. And so now we're in our savings. We're like, oh, shit. So we had to really dial back on a lot of things and change our whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I don't think one time we sat here and thought, woe is me at all. I think it was we all knew it's time.
Yeah, time to
Yeah.
get started.
It's time. This
Yeah.
is something we all kind of, I text Trevor and I was like, because, and ironically, I've kind of found myself going into, when I first brought it up, like, Trevor, it's time. He goes, it's past time. We're past that.
Nice.
Like we should have already started. So, in the last couple of years, I'd be motivated and I'd talk to Trevor and he's like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. And I'm like, yeah, let's get this. Let's freaking slam this shit. We'll start going on this. Yeah. Trevor's like, okay, yeah, we can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then when I was like, we go through this whole year 2020 and Trevor's like, hey man, like, I'm like, yeah, I think it's time. And he's like, no, it's time. Let's do this. And then I was kind of in a weird place for a minute, man. I was like, it was the other way around. It flopped on us. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not really, like, I know we need to do this. I want to do this. So let's start a little bit slow. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, so I sat down with him. I was like, here's what's going on with me, man. I don't know what this is. And I don't know, maybe it was just little hints of depression or something that I went through or whatever, but we got me knocked out of it, man. And we've been hitting this hard ever since. Yeah. And what really stuck with us the most, I think, is when we started talking to our friends in the gun industry, selling guns and training, where the guys training are just overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And the guys selling guns, they don't have guns to sell. And there's so many people buying guns that they can't keep them on the shelf, and they're ordering them, they're back ordering and everything. And we were like, oh my God, there's so many people out there with the guns now.
Yep.
That don't know the first thing about them.
Yep.
Because we talked about it even before this happened, even before this situation happened, we would talk to people all the time, and you'd have people that would tell you like, "Oh, I got a gun at home." I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you have?" "Well, I think it's a 9mm." "Yeah, but what is it?" Like,
It's black.
I don't know. Yeah, like, okay, this is a problem. This is something, because you're not going to be able to do anything with that. And the sad part is people don't realize that until we get them in our class. Sometimes, like, people, what I love is when I get people in our class, when we do a class, basic handgun training class, we start with thanking everybody for being here. Thank you for being here, because especially with guys, because there's something about being an American man that you should just know these things. You should know how to run a gun. You should just know, like, if you grew up in America, you should, I mean, there's this bravado thing to it, right? So guys have a hard time coming into a beginner handgun course. And so when they do, man, we're extremely grateful, man. We make sure they know how grateful we are. And even the people that know that they need some training, you can see that they don't realize how much training they actually needed.
Yeah.
When they start trying to lock the slide to the rear, and they're trying to figure out this thumb and this hand and trying to do those things, they're like, oh shit, I'd have been screwed if I was at home trying to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like if I had a malfunction, or you hear guys say that all the time, like, oh my God.
We had a guy in our class the other day, a beginner's handgun class, say that he was here, or he was at our class because he had a house fire and mistook it for an armed robber, and went to grab his firearm and had fumbled it.
He was
Fumbled
messing
it.
with the magazine. Yeah.
I said fondled.
You said fumble.
I mean,
He
accurately.
fumbled it and wasn't really sure on what to do. Obviously, your adrenaline's pumping through you, and he admitted that to us.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So
"Yo,
did
that's
he
so
end up,
great."
like,
He
pulling
did a
the
great
trigger?
job.
Or
No. He didn't have an ND or anything. He just realized, right, once he realized it was a fire and that he had to get, he had to assess that situation. Then he knew, okay.
Yeah.
But
It was just
prior
the
to realizing what
realization.
it was, he thought he had a home invasion, and was, because of the adrenaline, because of everything, he wasn't functioning with that firearm the way that he should have. The reason he brought it up is because in the class we talk about, hey, this training is important. Coming here and seeing us isn't it. That's not it.
yeah.
Training at home, training on the range, do whatever because we've talked about it since our very first podcast. Your subconscious mind has to know how to do that shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
It has to know what it's
Yeah.
doing, because, and this, when we started explaining this in class, like, you can sit here with us right now and do this enough times where you know how to lock it to the rear, you know how to put the magazine in, drop the slide, you know how to do all that. You can clear it, you can do it again. But if you don't continue to do that, when the shit hits the fan and you have to do it to save your life, you're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
and when we said that in the classroom, I might not have said it that aggressively, but when we
Well,
said,
whoever this guy is, I salute him. Because
absolutely,
Absolutely.
and so that's when he
for a
opened
guy,
up to us.
period,
Yep.
to admit that.
Yeah,
I loved it.
100%,
Hats
dude.
off to him.
And that's,
Yeah.
yeah, man. It almost gives you chills because, like I said, like, you're not used to that in our culture in this country, man. Like the guys that grow up here and have that, like, especially when you grow up in, that type of macho bravado
Yep.
type, group of friends, and what it's hard to admit to people that like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with a gun.
Yeah.
And that's why we do everything we can to let people know, like, it's okay to say that as long as you're doing something about it.
Yeah.
It's 100% okay to say, I don't know what I'm doing, as long as you're making the steps to get rid of that.
Yeah.
And to change that.
And that's the reason why, for me, I like told you, I'm excited for you guys, because as long as you guys are hitting topics that like people want to learn,
Right.
Because even for anything that you do in life, everything falls back on like behind closed doors, especially with weapons. I think personally,
Right.
Again, like repetition.
Yep.
A lot of times, people, what they do is they train at the range. Where my personal opinion, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be training at home, just like in any kind of boxing or whatever.
Right.
If you do that just at the gym, it's a completely different story when you're getting
Yeah.
punched in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then that's all there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to that with you saying that, because like we've talked about before, like, it's the same thing as if you just run FMJ all the time, your full metal jackets all the time, because that's what you run at the range. And especially with a gun that's got some snap to it, some recoil to it, when you actually are firing your defense rounds tend to be a lot hotter, and so they snap harder. And so when you're used to running with how flat that gun is with that full metal jacket, then when the first time you're actually running that hollow point, or you're running hotter ammo, if it is, it's going to take you by surprise, man. Your rhythm's going to be off. You know what I mean? So there's just, like you said, like just going to the range, just grabbing a gun and going to the range. It's not where it starts, man. Like you don't know anything about pressing the trigger. Like not letting that gun move while you're engaging that trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, that's you're spending a lot of money before you even realize that, if you don't have somebody to tell you that, or if you're not doing it at home prior to going in, you're spending a lot of money on ammo, wondering why your shots are in the waistline, or you know, off to the left, or off to, like you're you know, just that one thing alone is just that trigger press.
Yeah,
just spending time on your trigger. You get, you know, knowing it so well that you can let go of the anticipation of the recoil
and you know, for me too, and that's why I firmly believe in dry firing at home. You know, before I even saw T-Rex Arms, they were talking about dry fire. I was like, oh my god, I'm already doing that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, it's like, you know, if anybody knows anything about like working with horses in the equine world, when you have, especially a horse that's a little bit hotter, it's not a good idea to get a new horse that you don't know that well, or get a horse that's a little bit green, and just get on it, throw a saddle on this horse and get on their back. Your best option is to get in the round pen with and work on the ground. It's groundwork. You work on the ground with that horse. You work where you're on the ground, the horse is on the ground together, and you do work in a round pen, or you do work wherever it is. Yeah. Before you get on that horse.
That makes sense.
And it's the same thing. To me, I feel like it's the same thing. You should be manipulating that firearm that you have at home and recognizing what it does, how it feels, how, you know what I mean, where you're whether it's just locking the slide to the rear and switching out your magazines over and over, and you know, whatever it is, I think I agree with you 100%. I think that comes before buying a gun and going to the range.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of times too, like back to that macho thing with men, right? They watch too much TVs, right? You know, they want to look cool, but there's so much more responsibility owning a firearm.
Yeah,
that's right, man.
They think they just naturally have those skills, and there's not any training behind all the people they watch on TV.
Yeah,
it's like you said, like
I should look like that. Yep, I got it.
I agree.
Yeah, and that shit on TV. You know, first of all, it's not how it happens.
No.
And first of all, it's not how it works at all.
Right.
What you see on TV is not how it works. And second, when you do see it, the more accurate on TV, those guys have spent hours and hours and hours on top. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Days
and days and days doing that. Like when you're watching John Wick and he's, you know, when he's changing magazines and he's, you know what I mean, flat on, you know, and you know, moving around with how he's positioned himself and everything. He did that so many times before that movie.
And he's been doing that since what, the 90s in
Point Break, man. At the beginning
the
of Point
opening
Break,
scene?
he's like running around in the range, shooting at targets and shit.
That was wasn't that a legit filmed scene? Wasn't he really doing it?
I saw his training and I'm mind blown.
Yeah, he trains at Terran, I believe. Terran Tactical.
yeah, man. Hell
Boy
yeah.
crush.
But yeah, back when that movie Point Break came out, the movie, I believe it's the first scene in the movie.
It is. It's the
he's at
scene.
he's at like the police gun range.
And it's raining, right?
Yeah, he's running around in the rain, freaking engaging target.
Yep.
But he's like running around doing it. He's not just standing there like what you see like with
he's
police training stuff, like engage target. You know what I mean? Like he's running around doing drills and shit, man. And this was back a long time ago.
You guys are gonna hate me. I've never seen that movie.
What? Hey, it's okay because I just saw it 2 years ago.
Watch the first
Maybe I'll make
one.
me watch it.
Don't worry about the second one so much. That first one is it, bro.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
The first one.
I could tell when I was talking about it, you were just kind of like,
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm like, I can't jump
Hey,
on board with
honesty
you
is
guys.
so good though. At least you didn't just play along with it.
yeah, cool.
Just smile and nod. Just
Yeah,
smile and nod.
whatever, dude.
Yeah, no, man, it's definitely one to see, bro. It's a classic. But yeah, so what we were talking about with that was, you know, it's not like it is on TV, and when it is pretty accurate, that shit just doesn't happen, man. Like, and I don't expect everybody to be fucking John Wick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I expect everybody to understand that just because it's your right to own and carry a firearm, I don't have a problem with that. I'm all about exercising your rights. We are, as a group. We're all about exercising your Second Amendment rights. What people don't understand is you don't have a right to put everybody else in jeopardy because you're not taking the responsibility that comes with owning that firearm.
Yep.
There's the difference. Like, it's your right to, you know what I mean? It's your God-given right, however you want to call it. If you want to call it that, whatever you call it. But it's your right. It's in the Second Amendment. But there's responsibility that comes as soon as you take ownership of a firearm, man. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. Especially now you're responsible with whatever happens with that thing in your home, outside your home. There's a lot to it, man.
Yeah.
And that's what, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta watch a movie.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm like a total loser right now.
Levio put on a tank top when we first met, and he was telling me all about it, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of doing what you did. I was like, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. I think I saw the
and then
remake,
I got caught.
though. There's a remake.
The
right?
second one, man.
Yeah,
It's nothing like the first one at all. At all, it's nothing like the first one, man. Yeah.
You'll like it. It's a good one.
Yeah, the first one's a classic, man. Yeah. And I mean, it's who they put in it and everything. They did a good job.
Yeah.
I want to know more about Screama. Is that what you said? Did I say it wrong? The Japanese.
It's a Filipino fighting
Filipinos
stick.
fight.
So I don't really know where that originated from. I'm kind of dabbed on it when I was young, but I kind of messed around with it more when I got to America because I'm from the Philippines originally.
Yeah, you know what? That's something a lot of people don't know about you. Like when you were telling me that the other day, we were hanging out.
Talking story.
Yeah, man. Story time in the back of the club. But yeah, you were telling me, man, like how you grew up, man, and because we were talking about kind of the the political storm that we have going on right now, and when I had brought up, people that I've known that have worked their asses off to get away from what people are saying that they think they want in this country. You had told me like kind of how you came up, man. Like you mind talking about that a little bit? Like,
what do you mean, like my upbringing?
Yeah. Like
I don't know, man. I mean, I grew up poor. Like our house was a grass hut.
Yeah.
I remember.
And where exactly?
I'm from like Parañaque, Manila, right? So, but we had a grass hut there with the monkey in the back.
Really?
It would try to pee on you.
What?
But yeah.
So how old were you when?
Well, living in America makes you appreciate it, especially if you're not from here.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
in any other countries, only Canada and America, I believe that you could become rags to riches.
Yeah.
In other third world country, there's no such thing. There's no middle class.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I always try to catch myself. Don't ever forget where you came from.
Right.
So yeah, pretty much in the Philippines, we were poor. I mean, I remember my mom coming home one time with like holes in her clothes, crying because she got pickpocketed. You know what I mean? And grass hut. You used to eat at a garbage can, and like that's the reason. Even for me right now, there's times that I would catch myself eating my food so fast,
right?
Because I always had that mindset, that broke mindset, like
get it down.
Food that might not be there tomorrow,
Right.
But I always tell myself, Maverick, you're in America,
Right.
get out. You know what I mean?
But look at how grounded it makes you.
Honestly, it's a choice. I have my upbringing from Philippines to Hawaii. I got two good friends that I actually learned a lot from. Like father figures to me.
Yeah.
They're in. I was never in a gang, but I grew up with gang members.
Right.
But it taught me a lot. Made me grow up fast. That my mindset was I always got to have my guard up, because if I don't do that, I could get caught. Right.
Right.
But sometimes, as you get older, you have to break down that wall. You have to.
Yeah.
Because after a while, you're like, okay, you become lonely. Nobody wants to be like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
You have to find that balance, man.
You have to find that balance. But there's a lot of times too, because I was actually talking to Scott. He's from work, and we're talking about like angers.
Right.
Everybody got their own demons, and that's the reason why for me, when you ask me, why do you what motivates you?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a beast or inner demon,
something on your back.
You know what I mean? That you wanna just let out.
Yeah.
If it's not boxing, if it's not some kind of a sport that kind of let out your aggression, you have to.
Yeah.
No one's
I
perfect.
absolutely agree.
Anybody that says you're it's a perfect life, they're lying. You know what I mean? But
No,
people,
but like you said, it's perspective. So especially when you come from where you come from, there's all kinds of people, even here in the United States.
Yeah,
there's people that grow up in poverty. They grow up in a bad area, and they're exposed to some things that in other parts of the country the people never see, right? And there's all kinds of people that'll use that as an excuse as to why they stay there and why they don't grow and why
I was going to say that too. That it's an excuse.
And they can people. I mean, they have every excuse in the world and they'll use them.
Yeah.
But you have, and you know what I've noticed is the people that make those choices, they are the ones showing the most hate towards people that have all those same excuses and will not take them. They will not use those excuses, and they decide to go and make something of themselves. They can leave all that behind, and they get more hate from those people that choose the other direction.
And that's sad. You know, it's a repeated cycle of a chain that should be broken.
Right.
You know, a lot of people will say like, "Oh, my skin color is this, so that's why I'm not like this." I disagree with that.
Right. 100%.
You know what I mean? It's a choice
because but I think that's why they have so much hatred towards the people that don't take those excuses, because it just shows their own faults in their own choices of where they went. So
that they could be just as powerful as the person that's
then
proving
again,
them wrong.
Because most of those people are always explaining like, oh, you grew up in a better place, or you know what I mean, you're this color or that or whatever. So when somebody that was their neighbor that grew up the same way that they did, or even in another part of the country, but still came from where they came from, they are the same type of lifestyle. They can't stand it when that person. They always still try to find a way. Well, but yeah, that guy, like no, man, like it is a choice.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
It is true. I'm not denying that it's harder for some people than others. I will never say that.
Yeah,
I know better than that. I'm not that ignorant, but I do know that you can either choose to use those excuses in front of you, or you can choose to walk away from them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
because even now, like sometimes I wake up and I'm like the person I used to be 15 years ago. I don't even know that dude.
That's
you
good,
know what
though.
I mean,
Man.
it's crazy that you know I could actually look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I like who I see now because of you know the things
That's
that
great.
Everybody has a past. Who hasn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a choice. It's a choice to be different, to make a difference. To if you see where you come from, you could break that negative cycle, whether it's divorce, drugs, poverty, whatever, right? Dysfunctional home. You could definitely, if you identify that, that's powerful. But applying and changing, it's the hard thing about a lot of people. You know what I mean? I think personally,
like you said, like you can identify it, but don't identify with it.
Yep.
So that's I think when people hang on to the things that they've done or the places they've been, or what's happened to them, it becomes an identity, and it becomes their identity, and that's what they get stuck in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be who you are. It doesn't have to be your identity.
100%. I agree.
But like you said, but instead identify it for what it is. Because it doesn't have to be you.
Yeah.
It's something.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It's a thing. It's a path. It's a situation. It's whatever it is. Identify it instead of identifying with it, man. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that I've ever discovered about myself.
Yeah.
And quit
awesome.
hanging on to these ideas about like, well, this is just who I am, or this is how things work out for me, or this, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, yeah, like, I find patterns in my life, and instead of recognizing like the only thing consistent with those patterns is me. You know what I mean? Like these things keep happening to me. Well, they're not. They're things that I've created. And once you start learning to take responsibility for more, you have so much more power.
Yeah, I agree.
So much more power in what happens to you next.
I agree. Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. It is always about adjusting your mindset.
Absolutely,
and
man.
that's the biggest thing. You have to be able to focus and change your mindset. Look, like what you were saying, look at all the negative things, and then recognize opportunity and go forward from there.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's what you do with the things that you've been through and things you've done, man. You can use them in two different ways, man. You can let them hold you down, or you can pick something to learn from that experience and let the rest of it go, man.
Yeah.
Because it's just weight that you're carrying, really, honestly and truly, man.
I agree.
But as much as we can sit here and agree on that, if somebody's not ready to hear that, it sounds like a foreign language to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Because if I could have heard the same thing 10 years ago, and I would have been like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I'd
be like, oh, that's so corny.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. But until
to sound like a motivational video.
Yeah.
But what it and unfortunately, it takes somebody to be in the worst place they've ever been, or hitting rock bottom, or losing something really big to them, to be ready to hear that, to be ready to understand what that actually means. That's
powerful.
Take something to learn from it and move on. And unfortunately, man, it just, that's just how it turns out, man. When somebody's on their last, they got nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah.
And then they start realizing, like, wait, man, maybe this isn't so cheesy. Like,
no, a lot of times too, like, whatever, everybody goes through garbage, like what I said earlier. Everybody got a pass, right? But if you really change and you grow, your past, you could actually help people out. 100%. Hey, listen, I did that.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
I went this way
Yeah.
because of my family, whatever. Someone's counting on you, and you could help them out.
That's right. Like we were talking about before with Brighton. Anybody who knows Brighton knows that she's dealt with her demons, man, and she's gone through some stuff, and I don't know how much she wants to talk about that herself, but I'll tell you, she can pinpoint exactly what somebody's going through if they were ever going through the same thing. She would be able to explain to them.
You're an empath.
Right. She'll know
Unfortunately,
exactly.
a little bit too much of an empath.
Yeah.
I take in too
Absorbs
much.
all of it. So being able to, so learning how she gets through that, like you said, learning what she's learned from moving forward in another direction from that, instead of letting it engulf her, she can point it out to somebody else. Like, because most people that go through that type of situation, it's different for you. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Well, not when somebody used to say that can tell you, no, I know exactly what's going on. Let me explain it. Let me give you a perfect example of what's going on with you right now, and break it down. And like,
that's right. Yeah.
It helps take those excuses away. But again, when somebody's not ready to hear it, man, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're becoming a burden in their way. And
it kind of falls back to like timing too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's
I love that.
100%.
It's powerful.
100%.
Yeah. Because back in the day, if we had this talk, I would probably walk out. Right?
You'd be like,
what are you guys talking about?
That's crazy. So it's funny. Yeah, that's
I would have
awesome.
started crying just now.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's cool. That's awesome. Great topic, by the way.
Cool, hell yeah.
I
It's
agree.
kind of crazy how
I love falling
talk
into
about guns
stuff.
and we switch
Yeah,
into
man.
this. That's awesome.
I love falling into good stuff like
Yeah.
that, man. That's cool.
The other day on Instagram, I actually posted a question thing. You know how you do the polls, and I asked people like their favorite anxiety or stress
counter,
relief
yeah.
remedy, and the outcome of posting all of the responses was so positive.
It was cool.
So many people were telling me how much they appreciated it and loved it. It was really great.
Yeah, because you had all these. You had all these people that they don't talk about, that they have these
you
anxiety
hide
issues,
the
especially
fact that you're anxious. You hide the fact that you're scared or depressed, and people don't. They don't announce it on social media. Yeah. Everybody looks like they're these happy-go-lucky people, but behind the camera, some of us are going through shit, and you don't know that.
Yeah.
So opening up like that when you have a,
it was awesome.
Well,
she was able to post all these people's ways of dealing with it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
There was so many different ways that people deal with it. Some of them were pretty funny.
I don't think I've ever used the poll feature besides that. Like maybe small things. I did it again afterwards, doing a
With
true or
work
false.
stuff. Yeah.
But it was so empowering to post all that.
It
and
turned
to
out-
receive
I gotta see.
it.
I gotta see that. You
Yeah,
gotta
I
tag
have
me
it
that.
in my archives.
I gotta see that.
And
turned
the
out
fact
really
that people were reaching out and letting me know their remedies was even more empowering. I love
so
that.
other people could see those remedies. I mean, it's the same thing as the importance of asking questions to somebody that's speaking in a group setting, instead of waiting till after to ask those questions, right? Because there's other people that are going to benefit from those questions.
Yeah.
So her asking that question in a group, in that online setting, and everybody being open to share all those. You have people that are like, oh, okay, I didn't. They could be having the same issue, and then now they see all these other remedies that other people.
That's
they can
awesome.
try all these different things, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out really cool, man. I thought that was awesome.
I agree. I loved it.
One of the definite positive things of social media, man.
Yeah. However, when we did a poll thing on Armed with Knowledge and asked people what we wanted to talk about, nobody responded to that one.
No, we got some funny shit.
I did
Like
the
the
same
guns, what?
thing, and I got 0.
Yeah, I got
yeah.
0 on that one.
Yeah, oh well.
Oh,
I
well.
guess everybody thinks we're on the right track. So.
Yeah, that's the best way of looking at it. Look at that.
Like, you guys don't need our help. You're good.
That's how I took it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us
yeah.
today.
No, thanks for having me.
was
This is awesome.
I really
Hell
love
yeah.
the topic
Yeah.
we ended up on.
Yeah, man. No, I when when we talked about when I thought about bringing you on, that main part, like when we first opened this, that main part was, man, this guy is the perfect example
A jack of all trades.
that there's no reason that you don't have some kind of training at home.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it, man. Like you said, you're working 7 days a week, and it's not like you're just in for like you work your ass off, and so between that and everything else that you do, you know what I mean. You're not super antisocial either. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
I
But I mean,
am
you
as
still,
well.
but you're
Hands
still
down.
doing things with friends.
Yeah.
You're still out. You still, you know what I mean? I see it on,
Yeah.
on social media. It's not like you're out every day, but you still have time for people. And
Yeah.
so, with that, there's, like I said, there's really no excuse, man.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's one of the main, I wanted to start with, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? So I wanted to start with that with you and kind of see where it went. And I'm actually really excited about where that went today.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was super nervous. Like I told you, I was excited,
Yeah.
right? And I'm really excited. Then everybody started sitting down. I started sweating. I don't know if you noticed it, like earlier.
No,
right?
I
Like
wrote,
this,
it's hot.
half of my
Yeah, it is,
forehead. There was
man.
like
I was like,
sweat. I
I
was like,
should
what's
get up.
going on here? It's kind of funny.
It is hot in here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
almost like reached
that's
over
funny.
and paused it. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, man. So, I don't know, man.
Well, I think one of the, before we wrap up or anything, but I think one thing that we didn't talk about that is important, and you exemplify it very well, is humility.
Yeah.
And being
I
able
agree.
to let go of your ego
Yep.
and recognizing that you can always learn more.
Yeah.
And there's always something additional to learn. I mean, even just sitting here, and I've obviously been very quiet, just watching you, the level of humility that you have is amazing.
Yeah, you're humble, man.
thank you.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And especially when you were talking about going from Manila to Hawaii to here. If for anyone that knows Las Vegas, I grew up on Lake Mead in Hollywood.
That's pretty bad.
That's rough
Yeah.
area to live in. As soon as I got old enough, got a job, was able to pay my own rent, I hightailed it to Summerlin because I knew where I came from and I knew I did not want to go back.
Yeah.
So I can connect with that story.
That's awesome.
And I absolutely love how humble you are and how you're just able to let go of the ego and just focus on driving forward.
Well, the one time that you think that you can't grow is your downfall.
That's right.
And
That's
to not ever forget where you come from and to humble yourself, that's your downfall. The biggest thing that I've learned from one of my good friends was have a heart of gratitude.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what situation you have, you could change that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a choice. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
gratitude. When you brought that up earlier, that's one thing I wanted to say too. Is when you were talking about knowing where you come from,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. Like, not to keep bringing up how this year went, 2020, how this last year went, 2020, but I gained more from this year by losing.
That's awesome.
You know what I
That's
mean?
powerful,
Like
yeah.
by losing, we
That's
gained
awesome.
more, and I have so much gratitude for whatever. Like I said, like we were somewhere financially that I'd never been before, and it was great, but we weren't doing what we could have been doing with it. We weren't using it to grow. We weren't doing what I knew what to do.
Yeah.
But I was I got comfortable with it, and we could have done so much more with that, and so when we ended up starting something new and working with what we're working with now that we finally have some things kind of growing, we appreciate so much more, like when financially things start picking up again and whatever, it's like, oh man, okay.
Yeah.
When I get back to where we were before, I'm doing it totally different.
Yep.
And to take that and understand that gratitude, like, or understand that, like, we now have this new gratitude. It's partially what I think what we were talking about before, is being able to learn from it, man. And instead of taking it, or just take it on the chin and move forward, it's you learn from it. You take something, you learn from it, and let the rest of it go, man. Like, yeah, we weren't making what we were making it before, and we had to let go of a lot of things and change our lifestyles. But like I said earlier, I don't at no time I don't think we sat here and went, this sucks, because I think we luckily knew what we were doing wrong prior to that, and we're ready to move forward with that.
I'm so excited for you guys. I've even shared this with you at work. Every time I clock out, I end up talking to Livia for like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I got to go home.
Yeah.
But what you guys are doing, I'm excited for you guys to blow. I know it's just being consistent and know why you're doing it. You know what I mean? Consistency. That's right. I'm super excited.
Bro,
we're super excited too. The other night we're sitting there texting back and forth for hours. Like, we're almost at 1,000 followers. We're almost at 1,000.
Because
we're
that
at
was-
1,000.
Yeah.
Only 2 more. 1 more.
Yeah, I had a bunch of the people that we worked with, as they came to clock in, I was like, go on YouTube. Let me see that. Subscribe. 'Cause we were only like 5 away. We were like 5 away, sitting there, like 5 away, and we were sitting here talking about it, man. Like our annual goal. Trevor will tell you. What was our annual goal, Trevor?
1,000 by the end of the first year.
And YouTube pretty much set that for us, because that's how you monetize. You have to wait a year and have 1,000 followers and have so many hours of played time, of watched time, right?
Okay.
So we're like, okay, so they're kind of set our goals for us, and we were like, let's see if we can do that.
Yeah.
It's been 3 months, bro.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to recognize, like, fuck, this is doable, man. This is working, and you know, that's exciting, right? You know what's way more exciting than that? What trumps that beyond anything I could explain is when somebody says that watching our podcast or watching our videos made a difference in how they see things.
Nice.
And that's
awesome.
That's what it's all about, bro.
Yeah.
Because we can do this for 10 years, and if it took 10 years for somebody to say that, I would have been like, cool, it was all worth it. I couldn't have made a dime, whatever. As soon as somebody were to say that, it's all worth it. But we've already been getting that, man.
That's awesome.
And so there's nothing more motivating than that right now for me.
Cool.
Absolutely, man.
Yep. So next goal, 10,000 followers.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
everyone, like, comment, share, tell your mom, tell your friends.
Subscribe. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. All right, cool.
Cool.
I loved it.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks
That
for
was
having
very
me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
Thank you
on,
so
brother.
much.
Hell
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, guys, like we just said, if you liked it, subscribe for more, like it, and hit that bell notification, man. And as always, run your jaws, not your mouth.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes.